Welcome to your channel. I'm Behnam Jafari, and today we'll be diving into the standard input and output functions in C. In this video, we'll cover an introduction to these functions, walk through the key standard input and output functions, and take a quick look at the ASCII codes. The content will be split into the two parts. This first part covers the theory and explanations, while the second part focuses entirely on coding and exercises will be available in the next video. So if you're ready, let's go. First, open Eclipse. Once the window appears, click the Launch button to open the main interface of the software. Next, navigate to New and select Project to create a new project. A wizard will pop up. Choose C project and click Next. Select the MinGW toolchain, then select the project type to empty project, enter a name for your project and click Next, followed by Finish to create it. Now right click on the project, choose New and select Source File to start with a clean slate. Clear the entire page, then add a multi-line comment where you can write the description of the program you are about to code. In the first line, we will use include to add the standard input and output library to our project. Then we define the main function which serves as the entry point for the program. All the instructions inside the main function are executed sequentially, make it the starting point of execution in C. Statements are written within braces, forming a block of code that belongs to the function. Next, we use the printf function to print the string hello world to the console. After writing the code, build the project. This will help us spot an error or warning in the console. We then define a string variable. Call str and store the phrase hello world in it. In C, the equal sign is used for assignment, meaning the value on the right is assigned to the left. Keep in mind that the equality operator in C is double equal, which is different from the assignment operator. We'll dive deeper into the variable type and differentiation in the future lesson. Once that's done, rebuild and run the project. And you'll see the value stored in str display in the console. To master C programming effectively, it's essential to fully understand the syntax and detail of the commands we use. So let's take a closer look at how these statements are structured. The simplest C program consists of the following parts. Header file. A header file is used to include necessary libraries for specific functionalities. For example, stdio.h is commonly used to input and output operations. Main function. Every C program starts execution from the main function. It is mandatory and acts as the entry point for the program. Return statement. The main function typically ends with the return statement, which indicates whether the program executed successfully. For example, return 0 for success. Program body. The program's instructions are written inside the main function. These instructions define the operations the program performs. Statement. A statement is an individual instruction executed by the program. In C, every statement must end with a semicolon. The statement include declaration statements for defining variables or constant, expression statements for performing calculations or calling functions, control statement for controlling program, for example, if for. Blocks and scope. In C, a blocks of code is enclosed in curly braces. A block may contain multiple statements. The scope of variable refers to the region in the code where it can be accessed. Local scope. A variable declared inside a function is local to that function and cannot be accessed outside. Global scope. A variable declared outside or function has global scope and can be accessed throughout the program. Optional comments. Comments can be added to make the code more readable and to explain what different parts of the program do. Comments are annotations in the code that are ignored by the compiler. They are used to documentation explaining logic or temporarily disabling parts of the code. C support two types of comments. One, single line comments begin with double slash and extend to the end of the line. These are typically used for brief explanation or inline notice. Number two, multi-line comments start with slash, asterisk, and end with asterisk slash. These span multiple lines and are often used for detailed explanation or block comments. Standard input and output in C. In C, a standard input std_in and a standard output std_out are the primary mechanisms for interacting with user. These operations are handled throughout standard streams, which allow the program to take input and display output. std_in include scanf, getchar, and fgets function. std_out include printf, putchar, and push function. Here you can see the syntax of the following functions. The syntax indicates the input, output, and functionality of each function, which we will discuss in detail following. Number 2, standard output std_out. The standard output stream is used for displaying results to the user, typically on the console. Common functions for a standard output include printf used to display formatted output to the console. %sign start of format specifier indicate the beginning of the format specifier. Flags is optional, modifies the alignment, padding, or format of the output. Common flags are minus, left align the output, plus show the sign for positive numbers, space add a space before positive numbers, 0 pad with 0 instead of the spaces, hash use an alternate format for some specifier, for example add 0x for hexadecimal. Width is optional, specify the minimal width of the output field. If the output is shorter than width, the output is padded to meet the specified width. Default padding spaces are added to the left, right align. With the minus flag, spaces are added to the right, left align. With the 0 flag, the output is padded with 0 instead of spaces. If the output is longer than the width is ignored and the output is printed in full without truncation. That precision is optional. Control the precision for floating point numbers. It specifies the number of digits after decimal point. For a string, it limits the number of characters to print. Length is optional, indicates the size of variable. H, short integer. L, long integer. Double L, long integer. And capital L, long double. A specifier is mandatory, defines the type of data to be printed, include D or I, signed decimal integer, U, unsigned decimal integer, F, floating point number, E, scientific notation, G, short of F or E, C, single character, S, string, X, unsigned hexadecimal, lowercase or uppercase, O, unsigned octal, and percentage, print a literal percent. Putchar is used to print a single character to the standard output. Usually the screen is written the character written as an unsigned cast to an int or EOF end of file if there is an error. Puts is used to print a string, a sequence of characters followed by a new line character. Return a non-negative value on success or EOF if there is an error. A standard input SCT-in, the standard input stream, is used for reading data from the user, typically via the keyboard. Common function for a standard input include scanf, used to read input from the user with a specified format. By default, the scanf reads a single word until it encounters a space. To read a full line, including spaces, use fgets function instead. The scanf reads data from the input stream based on the format string. It assigns the input value to the corresponding variables. The function waits for the user to input data and press enter. The input is parsed according to the format specifier and stored in the provided variable. Flags. Asterisk suppresses the input. It tells scanf to read and ignore the input without storing it in a variable. Which specify the maximum number of characters to be read for a given input type. If the width exceeded the variable characters for that type, scanf will stop reading when it reaches the specified width. Length, H, short integer modifier, L, long integer modifier. double L, long integer modifier, long double modifier, capital L, and these elements in a scanf control how input is read and stored based on the type and a specified modifier. Return value. The scanf function return an integer representing the number of successful input. This value tells you correctly assigned during the input operation. If the return value is 0, it means no valid input was processed. If the return value is EOF, usually -1, it means an input failure or the end of input was encountered. In the scanf, the address of the variable is required to store the input value directly in the variable's memory. The address operator provided this address. Key points: why address is needed. Scanf writes input directly to the memory location of the variable. Passing the address allows scanf to modify the variable array's exception for a string character array. The name of the array already represents its address. Error: without address sign, forgetting address sign cause compilation error or undefined behavior as a scanf. Expect a pointer. Getchar used to read a single character from a standard input. Getchar reads one character at a time from the standard input or keyboard. It waits for the user to type a character and press the enter key. When the user presses enter, it reads the first character that the user has typed. It returns the character that is read and unsigned cast to an int. If there is an error or if the end of file EOF is reached, getchar return EOF, which is typically defined as -1. fgets. Fgets used to read a string of characters from the input safely, specifying the maximum size. Fgets reads at most n-1 character from the specified string, stdin, file, etc. It stops reading when it encounters a new line character. The maximum number of characters n-1 is reached or the end of the file EOF is reached. If a new line character is encountered, it is included in the string, but the new line will be replaced by a null terminator. It adds a null terminator at the end of the string to mark the end of the input. ASCII, American Standard Code for Information Interchange, is a character encoding standard that represents text in computer. Each character, letter, digit, symbols, and control characters is assigned a unique numeric value called the ASCII code. ASCII code for English letter are consecutive. Uppercase letter 65 to 90, lowercase letter 95 to 122. Difference between uppercase and lowercase of the same letter is over 32.